Arka beautifully explains in the following talk that through silence we can experience our deep-rooted, permanent spiritual self. Much of our time, resources, and energy is directed to the physical world, fulfilling our endless desires for material wealth for our finite, limited physical bodies. We can often lose balance between what we need and what is simply needless. But in reality, true mystical love is not experienced at the physical level, but in the heart by our deep-seated conscious being. To journey to our inner dimensions, to our deep mystical self, is one that is an internal adventure. Arka invites us to explore that our conscious self needs metaphysical stimulation to maintain our spiritual health. This can be through inspiration drawn from outside sources, observing the beauty, truth, love, and grace in nature. This gives us an inner joy and an inexplicable contentment, which is outwardly reflected through our smile.
At some point, you ought to become silent. There starts your inner journey. If you want to experience something, you ought to be in silence. If you want to explain something, you ought to be a bit noisy. When you explain something, you become an outsider to your own existence. When you are in silence, you become yourself. That is where you understand beyond ordinary mind. When you are in silence, you begin to experience yourself. There are sounds everywhere. You are constantly bombarded with so many signals and sound vibrations. Only you can feel some partial silence somewhere outside, but not complete silence. You can never silence others or silence the world, but you can silence your mind for some time and descend to experience something that is seated deep within through silence. Experience the experiencer and the subject of experience are all spiritual, whereas explanation and analysis, the object of research and study, the instrument of experience, the body, and experiment itself are all physical matters. When you are engaged in any of these physical matters, you have less time to experience something special within you, because all resources, all internal resources are directed towards the endless, curious world. This seems to be the game of the cosmos. We devise games within this game. There are so many things that tempt us relentlessly. Where do we have time? Desires soar above everything that you can imagine. But our very physical body itself is limited and very sensitive. Once something that operates the whole physical body disappears, the physical vessel or the body becomes useless and unattractive. When this is the fact, if you say, I love you, what is your target? Is it the body? Is it the dress that a person wear? Or do you love somebody's nature? Or what is it? It is so evident that I and you are nothing but hearts. Love is a connecting force, an attractive, mystical force. The physical body becomes an instrument, a medium of communication. So love is always related to one's heart, not to one's mind, not even to one's body or just appearance. It's direct. So the experiencer is a deep-seated conscious being within the physical body. That experiencer uses so many means and methods to gather new experience every moment, every day. Eyes are used as cameras, vocal cord, lingual organs, and ears are used as audio system, legs for wheels, hands as clutches, liver as the fuel tank. That is the reason we would like to create robots. Whatever we are, we produce the same thing externally. We feel intuitively, we think intellectually, we plan something, and we bring those plans into action. We achieve something. Thus, human beings are adventurous, conscious beings on earth. We seem to be the final beings on this planet with so much awareness of ourselves, others, and everything that exists around us. But the very root of our existence is not understood or experienced by everybody. Only a few become internally adventurous to reach their deeper inner mystical self. It is somehow easy to experiment externally on visible materials, but this is subtle yet highly precious and greatly essential to every human being to realize who they are and how they are. Experiencer is always separated from an experience. The experience of the experience itself is the self-realization. You say so many things about you that is not you. It is still an introduction about yourself. But when you are in silence, present yourself, naturally, that is you. We always miss this very key point in achieving our spiritual objective. When two people assemble together for the sake of argument about a topic, they become only the minds. Somebody is posing questions, somebody is answering questions, answers and questions. They become so involved in debate, in argumentation, exchange of information. They become so busy they do not know how. Hours are whiled away. They go home, they are more disturbed than they were before. Questions are posed, answers are received. Same thing has happened on the other end. Besides, they have to draw their own conclusions. Where is the time to go to the deeper levels of understanding? In the course of achieving something externally, their hearts are forgotten because they are engaged in their minds. Both are busy in analysis and explanation. You can talk about science hours and hours. You can talk about technology hours and hours. Certainly you gain some knowledge. In spirituality, analysis and explanation should become the threshold to enter the palace of spirituality. But some people keep themselves engaged only in analysis. A moment of experience is more powerful than years of explanation. In order to experience the deep-seated inner conscious life force, you ought to penetrate so many layers and impediments, which is a challenging task. It's not a cheap approach, as skeptics think. Oh, spirituality. Just go and sit in one corner, give up your work and responsibility, or become just vegetarian, that's enough. It is not so. Elephant is vegetarian. Is it spiritual? Sheep is also vegetarian. So that inner conscious life force gathers experiences through this physical body, and those experiences become subtle, and they are converted into highly unimaginable sensitive prints or impressions. If those experiences happen rhythmically, you do not feel any loss or discomfort. If such experiences of life occur rapidly or with long strides of times, then you become stressed out. Again, those impressions or imprints manifest themselves in certain regions in the body, in your neck, in your back, in the hind brain, even beneath the spine. Due to that pressure or overflowing irregular impressions or imprints damage the body directly and indirectly. We do so many things not getting involved consciously. During that time, our efforts become mechanical. Our body is involved. Mind is partially involved, but we are not deeply involved. That time is wasted. Neither you gain knowledge, nor you gathered true experience of that act or an action. That is living on the surface. Even years look like months. Many people regret, I grew so old, I didn't know. It means there was no conscious, deeper involvement in their actions, movements. It's only a jump from one angle to the other, from one side to the other. Body needs stimulation. Only then you can keep the body active and alive. The brain has to be stimulated. Eyes have to be stimulated with light radiations. The whole body has to be stimulated from time to time. Only then it can maintain its vitality and vigor. Similarly, in order to keep ourselves awake spiritually, we need inspiration. That is a metaphysical stimulation to one's inner conscious self. That is again a key point. People look for inspiration, those who are in search of their own reflection, not the physical reflection as you see in a mirror, the reflection of the invisible personality. Anything you talk about, it has two facets of existence. One is visible existence and another is invisible existence. That is what we have started recently, developing a technology to photograph energy fields of a person or an object. Invisible force is acting behind the visible universe. The invisible force, gravity, is holding all the planets or anything that exists in space. So the invisible inner conscious life force is holding the visible gross body. If the health of that inner consciousness is maintained, even in physical pain you still smile. You baffle medical experts or psychologists because you have discovered your very depth and you live to the full. It is somewhere around the corner, illumination or self-realization. It's not thousands of miles away from our being. It's so tricky and mercurious. It is like you entertain everybody in a party and you forget yourself. Same principle. And you don't know whether you have had dinner or not. You have experienced this many a time, no doubt. The same situation. We achieve so many things materialistically. We look for rewards, wealth, accumulation of so many glossy objects. But we forget to give comfort, love and grace to our own heart. It is not a selfish theory, you should be fine. If you are active and alive, if you are in an inspired mood, if you are healthy, you could certainly accommodate others. You could rush to anybody's rescue. Even to make some good wishes to someone, you still need energy. If you don't have that basic energy, if you are in a state of unconsciousness, how could you extend good wishes? Energy is always ooze out unconsciously. It in our control. But it is possible to alter the energy levels. It is possible to a degree to tune ourselves with others. It is a mystic art, not just an art. It cannot be taught mechanically, drawing equations or with some scientific jargon. It is to be learned or practiced in full sincerity and persuasiveness. Again I repeat, people who want spiritual growth or total illumination of their inner being, they are really adventurous than the people who are adventurous in the outside world. Because here they fight alone. There you could take the help of others, and you do not have any devices or protective materials against negative forces. You fight on your own. If you are determined to achieve this, it will happen. Why not? Somebody plans to destroy a city, it happens. Somebody wants to injure someone, it happens. Somebody wants to commit some crime, it happens. Why not this positive objective? The same nature is helping people to achieve their negative objectives. The same nature should also help or assist the people who are searching for spiritual illumination. Inspiration that you draw into your being from outside sources, by listening to someone, by reading some book, or by watching the sun come up or birds flying, such inspiration become a silent intuitive guidance for one to gracefully fly into higher dimensional experiences of one's own inner being. Because without that inspiration, spark of inspiration, it is not easy to overcome the obstacles. Some obstacles are visible, some other obstacles are invisible. Hindrances begin from our own body, such as sleep, hunger, thirst, aging, disease, sex and death. So many things could trap us if we are not cautious to strike a balance between needfulness and needlessness. Hence I said one ought to be adventurous to reach one's own consciousness, one's own inner consciousness. So you are all adventurous. Rather than looking for something that we haven't achieved, we must also pat ourselves and give an applause to ourselves for having achieved something so far. Only then the inner contentment dawns on. then that reflects on your face with a smile.